Over the past months, a single idea has been increasingly heard within the technology industry. Apple is finally preparing to seriously enter the artificial intelligence race. And this is no longer about minor Siri updates, cosmetic iPhone features, or another set of smart tricks for photo processing. According to Bloomberg, The Information, Reuters, and several Silicon Valley insiders, Apple is preparing the biggest transformation of Siri in the company's entire history. And if Siri was previously seen as a lagging voice assistant that was outperformed by ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude in almost every dimension, the situation is now beginning to change dramatically. Inside Apple, according to Bloomberg journalist Mark Gurman, unprecedented team reshuffles are taking place, billions in budgets are being reallocated, and the development of a new AI platform is being accelerated, which is intended to become the foundation of the company's future ecosystem. And most importantly, for the first time in many years, even skeptics are beginning to admit that Apple may truly be back in the game. Moreover, some analysts are already calling this the most important turning point for Apple since the first iPhone. Just a few years ago, it was difficult to imagine Apple in the position of a lagging company. It was Apple that once transformed the smartphone, tablet, and wearable electronics markets. It was Apple that set the standards for the industry. But in the field of artificial intelligence, the company unexpectedly began to fall behind. While OpenAI released ChatGPT, Google launched Gemini, Microsoft integrated AI into almost all of its products, and NVIDIA became the center of the global AI infrastructure, Siri remained a highly limited assistant. Users complained that Siri could not understand complex queries, could not hold long conversations, could not deeply analyze information, and lagged behind competitors in almost every aspect. At some point, this became a real problem for Apple's image, especially after millions of people began using ChatGPT daily and saw how far modern language models had advanced. And that was when, according to The Information, real concern began inside Apple. The leadership of the company realized that if Apple does not make a sharp leap in AI, it could, for the first time in decades, begin to lose its technological leadership. The situation now looks completely different. According to Bloomberg, Apple is already investing tens of billions of dollars in artificial intelligence development. The company is aggressively expanding its data centers, purchasing massive amounts of servers based on NVIDIA chips and its own AI processors, and hiring specialists from OpenAI, Google DeepMind, and Anthropic. Moreover, according to the Financial Times, there are already secret internal teams within Apple working on the next generation of Siri, a system that is supposed to become not just a voice assistant, but a full-scale next-level digital intelligence. Some employees privately refer to this system as the brain of Apple's future. And the more information emerges about the project, the stronger the sense becomes that Apple is preparing not just a Siri upgrade, but a fundamental restructuring of its entire ecosystem around AI. The most interesting part is that the new Siri, according to rumors, will be radically different from anything Apple has done before. While the old Siri mostly worked through predefined scripts and limited algorithms, the new version is being built around large language models, similar in architecture to ChatGPT and Gemini. But Apple is trying to focus not only on model intelligence, but also on deep integration with its devices. This is where, according to analysts at Morgan Stanley and Wedbush, Apple may gain a massive advantage. OpenAI does not have its own global device ecosystem. Google's is limited, but Apple controls hundreds of millions of iPhones, iPads, MacBooks, Apple Watches, AirPods, and future mixed reality devices. Now the company wants to turn all of this into a unified AI system where Siri becomes the central intelligence of the entire ecosystem. According to Mark Gurman, Apple is working on enabling the new Siri to understand the context of a user's entire life, not just respond to commands, but analyze habits, calendar, messages, documents, photos, voice notes, health data, location, and human behavior within the ecosystem. Imagine a situation where you wake up in the morning and Siri already knows you have an important meeting today, understands your current mood from your voice, analyzes sleep quality through Apple Watch, suggests adjusting your schedule, automatically sends messages, prepares documents, and even adapts device interfaces to your state. In essence, this is about creating a digital assistant that gradually becomes a constant, intelligent companion for the person. And this idea is what is now especially concerning Silicon Valley. Many experts believe that Apple is not aiming to be the first to create AGI, but rather to be the first to embed powerful AI into the everyday lives of billions of people in the most seamless and invisible way possible. This is very Apple-like. The company rarely arrives first, but when it does, it completely transforms the market. It happened with iPhone, Apple Watch, AirPods, and now many analysts are saying Apple wants to repeat this scenario in the era of artificial intelligence. Moreover, according to insiders, there are already internal discussions suggesting that the Siri of the future will not just be an application or a feature, but a new level of interface between humans and technology. Special attention is now being given to how quickly Apple is scaling computational power. According to Reuters, the company is building new AI server clusters and investing heavily in its own AI chips. Apple fully understands that the future of artificial intelligence is defined not only by algorithm quality, but also by infrastructure power. That is why Apple is aggressively developing its own M-series processors and neural engine technology. Inside the company, there is confidence that a large portion of AI computation should happen directly on the user's device. This not only speeds up the system, but also preserves Apple's key advantage: privacy. While competitors process massive amounts of data in the cloud, Apple aims to focus on on-device AI. And this could become one of the most important advantages of the new Siri. According to analysts, Apple is trying to create a unique hybrid model. Part of the computation will happen on company servers, and part directly on iPhone, iPad, and MacBook. This will allow Siri to work faster, understand the user more deeply, and at the same time maintain a high level of confidentiality. For Apple, this is especially important because the company has built its brand for years around the idea of protecting user data. And now, within the industry, there is increasing belief that the combination of powerful AI and privacy could become Apple's main weapon against OpenAI and Google. But perhaps an even more important point is related to future robots. In recent years, more and more insiders have reported that Apple is actively exploring the robotics market. Bloomberg has already written several times that the company has internal projects involving home robots and mobile devices with elements of physical AI. While Apple is still significantly behind Tesla in this field, experts believe the company is thinking decades ahead. And this new Siri could become the digital brain for Apple's future robots. Imagine a home robot from Apple that understands your voice, knows family habits, is integrated with iPhone, Apple Watch, Vision Pro, and the entire ecosystem. In essence, this is no longer just a device, but a physical extension of the company's AI system. Some analysts believe Apple is closely watching the development of Tesla Optimus, as well as projects from Figure AI, Boston Dynamics, and Chinese robotics companies. Although Apple is still acting much more cautiously, within the industry, there is an increasing belief that the company is preparing its own direction in so-called physical AI, artificial intelligence that exists not only inside a screen, but also in the real world. And if this is truly the case, then the Siri of the future may become not just an assistant on the iPhone, but a full operating system for the next generation of robots. What particularly impresses experts is the speed at which Apple is changing its attitude toward AI. Not long ago, there was significant skepticism within the company regarding generative artificial intelligence. Many Apple employees believed the technology was still too raw and unstable. But after the explosive success of ChatGPT, the situation changed within just a few months. According to the New York Times, Apple's leadership concluded that artificial intelligence will become the most important technology of the 21st century. And now, the company is trying to catch up as quickly as possible. Moreover, some sources claim that Tim Cook personally is pushing for faster AI development because he understands the scale of the threat to Apple's future. It is also interesting how investors' perception of the company is changing. Just a year ago, many criticized Apple for falling behind in the AI race. But now, on Wall Street, there are increasingly forecasts that Apple could become one of the main winners of the next stage of AI development. The reason is simple. The company has an extraordinary device ecosystem and a massive user base. If Apple truly succeeds in embedding powerful AI into hundreds of millions of devices worldwide, the consequences could be enormous. Some analysts compare this to the moment of the App Store launch, which once completely transformed the mobile application industry. Another important topic is AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. According to insiders, there are active internal discussions about scenarios in which Siri could eventually learn autonomously, adapt to users, and perform increasingly complex cognitive tasks. Some researchers even suggest that in the future, Siri could evolve into a personal AI avatar of the user, a system that knows the person so deeply that it can anticipate desires, decisions, and behavior. This sounds like science fiction, but many elements of this technology are already beginning to emerge today, and Apple could become one of the first companies to turn such AI into a mass-market product for billions of people. At the same time, Apple is actively developing its mixed reality direction. After the release of Vision Pro, it became clear that the company is thinking about the future of interfaces far beyond smartphones, and many analysts are confident that the next-generation Siri will become a key element of Apple's future, AR and VR devices. Imagine a world where AI literally accompanies a person in space, interacts with surrounding objects, analyzes the environment, and becomes part of everyday reality. This is no longer just an application, it is a new level of human-digital interaction. That is why there is such intense hype around the new Siri. People understand that Apple is not just preparing another iPhone feature. The company is trying to build the foundation for the next technological era. And although Apple is indeed lagging behind OpenAI and Google in some areas of generative AI, within the industry there is a growing belief that it may compensate for this through its ecosystem, design, integration, and massive distribution scale. In recent months, Japan has begun rapidly transforming into the world's first truly robotized nation, and the scale of what is happening is already starting to concern not only Western think tanks, but also the largest technology corporations in the United States and Europe. What just a few years ago seemed like beautiful science fiction from anime and futuristic films is now literally stepping onto the streets of Tokyo, Osaka, and Yokohama. More and more Japanese citizens are encountering incredibly realistic humanoid robots on a daily basis. Robots that no longer resemble experimental machines from laboratories. They move almost like living people, speak with natural intonation, can maintain long conversations, remember their owner's emotions, analyze moods through facial expressions, and are gradually becoming part of everyday life. Moreover, this is no longer about isolated prototypes from major corporations, but about large-scale deployment. According to several Japanese publications, including Nikkei Asia and Asahi Shimbun, sales of next-generation domestic humanoid systems have risen sharply across the country, and some electronics stores in Tokyo have already begun dedicating entire floors to robot departments. Particular attention has been drawn to leaks from technology clusters in Osaka and Nagoya, where, according to insiders, several Japanese companies with government support have accelerated production of so-called social AI androids. These robots are not being created for factories or warehouses like most Western models, but specifically for living among people. Their primary purpose is to replace multiple social roles for a person at the same time. They can assist with household tasks, supervise children, accompany elderly people, prepare meals, help with shopping, analyze an owner's health through built-in sensors, and even provide emotional companionship. And it is precisely this aspect that is now generating especially intense debates within Japanese society. More and more people are beginning to perceive robots not as technology, but as full-fledged members of the family. On the streets of Tokyo, it is already possible to witness scenes that would have seemed impossible until recently. Robots calmly enter stores with their owners, carry grocery bags, accompany children after school, sit in cafes, interact with waiters, and even participate in community events. Some models appear so realistic that passers-by sometimes cannot immediately determine whether they are looking at a human or a machine. This is especially true of the latest androids in the Mirai and Hikari series, which have recently been featured in Japanese technology blogs. According to journalists, developers have achieved enormous advances in facial microexpressions, eye movement, and speech synchronization. The robots now blink at natural intervals, alter their facial expressions according to the context of a conversation, and even imitate subtle signs of fatigue or contemplation during dialogue. All of this creates the sensation of interacting with a genuine living companion. Robots have been adopted particularly actively in the homes of elderly people. Japan has faced a demographic crisis for many years, and its population is aging rapidly. The number of people over 65 continues to increase, while the number of younger workers keeps declining. As a result, the country's authorities have begun viewing humanoid robots as one of the primary tools for preserving the social system. According to NHK, the government is already allocating billions of yen to support companies developing domestic AI assistants for elderly care. These robots help remind people to take medications, monitor health conditions through sensors, contact doctors during emergencies, and remain by a person's side around the clock. Some models have even learned to detect health deterioration through changes in gait or voice tone. But the most remarkable aspect is something else. Japan's new robots have stopped being merely smart speakers with legs. Thanks to recent advances in generative AI and large language models, they have begun demonstrating behavior that appears almost human. They are capable of maintaining long emotional conversations, discussing films, music, and news, giving advice, learning a family's habits, and adapting their behavior to each individual person. According to employees of several research laboratories in Tokyo, modern models already possess long-term memory systems and can remember events that occurred months earlier. A robot can recall what food a child in the family likes, what its owner was worried about a week ago, or which words of encouragement helped a person through a difficult day. That is why many Japanese people are beginning to form emotional attachments to their robots. On Japanese social media, videos showing everyday life with androids are rapidly gaining popularity. In one video, a robot helps a child with homework and calmly explains difficult math problems. In another, an elderly man takes an evening walk with a humanoid assistant while discussing baseball and the weather. There are videos of robots preparing dinner, caring for pets, helping sort groceries, or simply sitting at the table with the entire family. And the most astonishing part is that these scenes are no longer starting to look strange. For Japanese society, this is gradually becoming the new normal. According to analysts at Morgan Stanley Japan, the country is now on the verge of its largest social transformation since the arrival of the internet. If technology once existed separately from daily human life, Japan is now beginning to literally integrate artificial intelligence into society itself. And the humanoid form plays a crucial role in this process. Research from Japanese universities shows that people find it much easier to interact emotionally with AI when it looks and moves like a human being. That is why companies have begun investing enormous amounts of money in realistic androids rather than abstract home devices. Insiders claim that Japan's largest technology giants are already engaged in a hidden race for leadership in this new industry. According to leaks, several corporations are working on models capable of accompanying a person throughout the entire day. These are robots designed to literally live alongside their owners, helping them get ready for work in the morning, managing calendars, reminding them about meetings, monitoring health, preparing meals, assisting children, watching over the home, and providing conversation after a difficult day. Some prototypes can already independently plan actions within an apartment and learn the household habits of a family. That is why Western media increasingly compare what is happening in Japan to the beginning of a new technological era. Bloomberg recently published a report describing Japan as the first country beyond science fiction, while the Financial Times writes that the Japanese are effectively creating a new type of society in which artificial intelligence no longer exists inside smartphone screens, but begins to physically exist alongside people. And this transformation is occurring at an astonishing pace. An ordinary day with a modern Japanese humanoid robot already resembles a scene from a futuristic film. An early morning in a small Tokyo apartment begins with soft lighting automatically activated by a household android. The robot approaches its owner's bed and calmly provides the weather forecast, metro congestion levels, and a schedule of meetings for the day. While the person is washing up, the robot has already started preparing breakfast in the kitchen. It knows its owner's preferences exactly, who prefers strong coffee and who prefers green tea. In the background, music selected by AI plays according to the person's mood. After breakfast, the robot helps prepare a child for school. It checks the class schedule, reminds the child about forgotten textbooks, and can even help quickly review material before a test. The android then escorts the child to an autonomous school shuttle and returns home, where it begins cleaning the apartment. But unlike an ordinary robotic vacuum, modern models act almost like humans. They can carefully fold clothes, wash dishes, organize groceries, and analyze food supplies in the refrigerator. During the day, the robot may accompany elderly relatives. It walks with them in the park, helps them climb stairs, reminds them to take their medication, and keeps them company through conversation. Many elderly Japanese people admit that they have begun to feel less lonely thanks to such androids. Some even give their robots names and regard them as members of the family. In the evening, when the owner returns home from work, the robot is already waiting at the door. It can detect fatigue from facial expressions and automatically adjust the apartment's lighting, play calming music, or suggest dinner. Modern AI models analyze thousands of behavioral parameters and adapt to a person's emotional state. That is why interactions with them are beginning to feel almost like genuine human communication. But along with admiration come serious concerns. Many experts warn that Japan may become the first country to face the consequences of excessively deep AI integration into society. Even now, some young people are beginning to spend more time with robots than with real people. Psychologists speak of the emergence of emotional dependence on artificial intelligence. Philosophers increasingly ask the question, if a robot is capable of providing emotional support, caring for a person, and being present every day, where is the boundary between a machine and a full participant in society? Nevertheless, Japan appears determined to move forward regardless. The country's authorities continue supporting the robotics industry, while major corporations are opening new factories dedicated to manufacturing humanoid systems. According to Japanese media reports, the number of domestic androids could reach millions within the next few years. Some analysts even believe that Japan may become the first country in the world to officially create a legal status for AI robots that permanently live alongside humans. And while the rest of the world is still debating the dangers of artificial intelligence, Japan is already taking the next step. The country is literally building a society in which humans and machines begin living side by side every day. And judging by the pace of developments, the future that once existed only in science fiction may arrive much sooner than anyone expected. At night, Tokyo appears especially unusual. Neon signs reflect off the glass facades of skyscrapers, autonomous taxis move through the streets, and among the flow of people it is becoming increasingly common to spot humanoid robots. Some accompany their owners, others independently deliver purchases, and still others assist employees in convenience stores that operate around the clock. And it is in moments like these that one thing becomes clear: Japan is gradually ceasing to be merely a technologically advanced country. It is becoming the first society in history where artificial intelligence has acquired a physical body and begun living among people. And perhaps the most remarkable part of this story is that the Japanese themselves have almost stopped being surprised by it. But behind the scenes of this technological revolution, something else is happening that Japanese journalists and researchers are talking about more and more often. According to several insiders from the Tokyo Institute of Technology, Japan's largest companies are already testing the next generation of humanoid AI systems that will not simply carry out human commands, but will literally anticipate their owners' wishes before they are even spoken. Sam Altman has finally done what Silicon Valley has been whispering about for the past 2 years. According to several American technology publications, including Bloomberg, The Information, and Wired, OpenAI has begun full internal development of its own humanoid robot, which will become the physical body for ChatGPT. And while discussions about OpenAI robots previously sounded like rumors and futuristic speculation, the situation now looks completely different. More and more insiders claim that separate teams have already been formed within the company to work on robotics, motion mechanics, computer vision, and the creation of so-called physical GPT, an artificial intelligence that will not just answer questions in an app, but literally exist next to a human in the physical world. In essence, this marks the beginning of a new era where ChatGPT stops being just software inside a smartphone or computer and becomes a full humanoid assistant capable of walking, talking, understanding emotions, performing physical tasks, and gradually replacing humans in a wide range of fields. And the most interesting part is that all of this is happening against the backdrop of the most intense technological race since the invention of the internet. Today, virtually all major global tech giants have entered the battle for the humanoid robotics market. Tesla with the Optimus robot, Google DeepMind with its AI robotic systems, Apple, which according to analysts is also secretly developing home robots, Chinese companies Unitree and Xiaomi, Figure AI, Boston Dynamics, all of them understand one thing: whoever first creates a truly intelligent and mass-market humanoid robot will potentially capture a market worth tens of trillions of dollars. Some Morgan Stanley analysts even call humanoid robots the most expensive market in human history because it effectively means replacing human labor. Not one profession, not one industry, but literally the entire physical economy of the world. And that is why Sam Altman's statement triggered such a powerful reaction within the industry. According to sources close to OpenAI, Sam Altman has long been obsessed with the idea of creating the perfect digital human. Years ago, he said that current AI is limited by existing only inside screens. ChatGPT can be incredibly intelligent, but it cannot pick up a cup from a table, cook food, help an elderly person get out of bed, or independently manipulate physical objects. And this, according to Altman, is the next giant step in the evolution of artificial intelligence. To create not just a chatbot, but a full physical being with GPT-level intelligence. The rumors intensified especially after OpenAI's investment in Figure AI. This company has recently become a real sensation in robotics. Their humanoid figure robot can already walk, carry objects, perform simple tasks, and interact with people. But most importantly, Figure AI was one of the first to integrate OpenAI models into its robot. Videos of the Figure robot holding a full conversation, almost like a human, caused a shock online. Many analysts immediately said this is not just a partnership. It is the beginning of the birth of the future ChatGPT robot. Inside the industry, it is increasingly discussed that OpenAI could use the Figure platform as the foundation for its first mass-market humanoid robot. However, the design and overall concept would be significantly reworked. According to insiders, Sam Altman wants to make the robot as human-like as possible, not only in movement, but also in behavior, facial expression, voice, body language, and even emotional interaction. Some anonymous OpenAI employees claim that the company is discussing a robot concept so natural that people will stop perceiving it as a machine within minutes of interaction. Interestingly, this fully aligns with OpenAI's overall strategy. ChatGPT is already becoming increasingly human-like. The latest generation voice modes can speak with almost no latency, change intonation, joke, and understand the emotions of the person they are talking to. And if such intelligence is combined with a humanoid body, it results in an entirely new type of being. Many futurists already call this the first digital life form of the mass market. According to preliminary data, within OpenAI, several scenarios for the appearance of a future robot are being considered. The first is a more classic version resembling a human, but with a futuristic design in the style of Apple and Tesla. A white or black matte body, smooth shapes, minimalism, hidden mechanisms, a screen instead of a face, and soft LED lighting. The second option is an almost fully anthropomorphic robot with synthetic skin, muscle simulation, and maximally natural movement. Some insiders claim that this second version is the one Sam Altman prefers most, because he wants to create a robot that will be psychologically perceived by humans as a friend or partner rather than a cold machine. And this is where things become especially interesting. The main competitor of OpenAI in this race is widely considered to be Elon Musk and Tesla, with Optimus. The irony is that Musk was once one of the founders of OpenAI. But now there is a real war between Musk and Altman over the future of artificial intelligence. Musk is betting on a mass-market industrial robot, Optimus, capable of replacing workers in factories, warehouses, and logistics. Altman, according to analysts, may take a different path, creating a highly intelligent and emotionally adaptive companion robot. This is why many believe that the future OpenAI robot will be significantly smarter than Optimus in terms of communication and adaptation. ChatGPT already today has a vast knowledge base, can analyze context, remember communication style, and maintain almost human-like conversations. If such intelligence is placed inside a humanoid body, the robot could potentially become not just an assistant but a full digital conversational partner. And this could completely transform the market. According to forecasts by Goldman Sachs analysts, the first mass-market humanoid robots will begin to appear between 2028 and 2035. But if rumors around OpenAI are true, the company could present its first prototype much earlier, within the next 2 to 3 years. Some journalists at The Information claim that inside OpenAI there is discussion of a major iPhone-level moment for robotics, where the robot will appear on stage, interact with the audience, and operate almost without human operators. A separate topic is the name of the future robot. Within the industry, dozens of rumors already exist. Some believe it will be called GPT-1. Others suggest OpenAI Human, GPT Body, or even Neo, referencing The Matrix. But the most popular insider version is Atlas GPT, or simply GPT-H. Many analysts, however, believe OpenAI will choose a very simple and memorable name, similar to how Apple chose iPhone. The price of such a robot at launch is expected to be extremely high. Early versions may cost between $30,000 and $100,000, especially for home models with full AI, next-generation hands, and autonomy. However, the main goal of OpenAI, Tesla, and other companies is to significantly reduce the price. Elon Musk has already said that Optimus should eventually cost less than a car. A similar approach will likely apply to OpenAI. Many analysts believe that by the mid-2030s, the cost of a basic humanoid robot could fall to $15,000 to $20,000 and then even lower. And that is when the world will begin to change radically, because once millions of people can afford a robot with ChatGPT-level intelligence, the consequences will be enormous. These robots will be able to work as couriers, waiters, sales assistants, security guards, nannies, household helpers, caregivers, cleaners, warehouse workers, and even medical assistants. Especially the service industry will change dramatically. Imagine restaurants where waiters never get tired, Amazon warehouses where thousands of humanoids work 24/7, hospitals where robots help move patients and deliver medicine, huge hotels where GPT robots replace staff. But even more important is something else. Such robots could potentially replace not only physical labor, but also part of intellectual work. Unlike traditional industrial machines, an OpenAI humanoid would have full conversational intelligence. It could learn directly through interaction. If a human shows it a task once, the robot can repeat it endlessly. And thanks to cloud AI, all robots could share experience with each other. If one robot learns something new, all others could potentially gain that knowledge within seconds. This is exactly what worries governments and economists the most. Some analysts already compare the rise of humanoid AI robots to the Industrial Revolution of the 19th century. Only this time, it is not horses and machines being replaced, but humans themselves. According to McKinsey, next-generation automation could affect hundreds of millions of jobs worldwide, with logistics, retail, manufacturing, and service industries especially vulnerable. At the same time, supporters of the technology argue the opposite. They believe robots will free humans from hard, dangerous, and repetitive work. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman has already suggested that humanity should prepare for a world where AI performs most labor, while humans focus on creativity, science, and development. Some even believe governments may be forced to introduce universal basic income due to large-scale automation. It is also interesting that OpenAI could potentially gain a huge advantage over competitors thanks to its AI. Tesla is excellent at building hardware, batteries, and production systems. But OpenAI is currently considered a leader in generative artificial intelligence. And if the company can combine top-tier AI with a good humanoid body, it could create the smartest robot in the world. According to rumors, OpenAI is already testing models capable of controlling robots in real time through cameras and sensors. In essence, GPT is learning to see the world through machine eyes. With the rise of multimodal AI, this is becoming more and more real. The latest GPT systems can already analyze video, understand spatial environments, and recognize objects at a near-human level. The next step is teaching it to physically interact with the world. This race is developing especially fast in the US and China. Chinese companies are investing billions of dollars in humanoid robots. In Beijing, officials openly say they want to become the global leader in robotics by 2030. That is why the US is also trying to accelerate development. According to insiders, American authorities are treating humanoid robots as a strategic future technology, comparable to artificial intelligence and semiconductors. Many experts believe the first real mass-market robot from OpenAI could look like a mix of a human, Tesla Optimus, and science fiction characters. It would have a tall body, smooth movements, a calm voice, perfect memory, and constant cloud AI connectivity. Such a robot could simultaneously act as a secretary, assistant, teacher, translator, and even a psychological companion. What is most striking is that all of this no longer feels like science fiction. 5 years ago, ChatGPT did not exist. Today, hundreds of millions of people use it. And if robotics progresses as fast as AI, then within the next decade, humanity could indeed face a world where humanoid robots become as common as smartphones are today. In recent months, increasingly unusual rumors have begun circulating around Tesla, which not long ago might have seemed like the plot of a science fiction film. While the world continues to follow the development of the Tesla Optimus project, officially positioned as a universal humanoid robot for factories, logistics centers, and household tasks, the technological community is increasingly discussing the possibility of a far more ambitious direction inside the company. According to information circulating among industry analysts, former employees of major technology corporations, and sources close to robotics component supply chains, Tesla is allegedly exploring the possibility of creating a new generation of androids that would no longer look like classic robots, but almost like humans. This is not just about another version of Optimus with smoother movements or improved artificial intelligence. According to the assumptions being discussed, the potential project may involve the creation of fully humanoid next-generation androids, visually as close to humans as possible. Such devices could feature artificial skin, realistic hair, detailed facial features, movable facial expressions, next-generation artificial muscles, and an intelligent communication system based on the most advanced language models. At first glance, such an idea seems too bold even for Tesla. However, looking at the company's history and Elon Musk's personal vision, it becomes clear that many technologies that are real today were considered fantasy just 10 years ago. Electric cars were seen as a niche product, reusable rockets were called impossible, and mass-market humanoid robots were considered a distant dream. And yet today, Tesla produces millions of vehicles, SpaceX regularly launches rockets, and Optimus is already demonstrating increasingly complex actions. Therefore, it is not surprising that the very idea of more human-like androids is generating enormous interest among both investors and ordinary people, especially after artificial intelligence has made a genuine leap forward in recent years. Many experts note that for a long time the main limitation of robots was not hardware at all, but intelligence. A machine could move, carry objects, and execute commands, but it could not hold a meaningful conversation, understand context, or adapt to new conditions without additional programming. Now, this situation is beginning to change. Modern AI models are capable of sustaining long conversations, analyzing images, understanding the surrounding world, and making real-time decisions. That is why many analysts believe that the robotics industry may be on the verge of the largest leap in its entire history. If we assume that Tesla is indeed working on such a project, then the most likely platform for such an android would be Optimus itself. The company has already invested enormous resources in developing mechanics, actuators, balance systems, computer vision, and artificial intelligence components. Creating a completely new product from scratch would be too expensive and complex even for Tesla. It is far more logical to build on the existing architecture and gradually transform it into a more advanced form. Imagine a robot that is visually almost indistinguishable from a human. Its face is covered with a special synthetic material that mimics skin structure. Beneath the surface are thousands of micro-actuators responsible for emotional expression. Such an android is capable of smiling, showing surprise, and changing facial expressions depending on the context of the conversation. Its eyes contain ultra-high-resolution cameras, and its movements are so smooth that it becomes difficult for a person to determine who is in front of them, a living human or a machine. It is precisely this boundary between human and machine that is becoming one of the most widely discussed topics among futurists. Some experts believe that humanity is already approaching a point where it will become virtually impossible to distinguish a human from an artificial android without special verification. Especially interesting is the question of integrating such a device with future versions of the Grok artificial intelligence. Already today, many specialists describe AI as the core component of future robotics. The mechanical body becomes merely a tool, while the real product is the intelligence capable of interacting with the physical world. Let us assume that in a few years, Tesla releases a next-generation android. The user wakes up in the morning, and the robot already knows the day's schedule. It reminds them of meetings, analyzes the news, helps prepare breakfast, monitors the condition of the home, answers phone calls, and can hold a full conversation on virtually any topic. Unlike modern voice assistants, this intelligence has a physical body. It can open doors, bring objects, help an elderly person climb stairs, or accompany a child during a walk. This is where things become truly interesting. If Optimus is primarily designed as workforce for industrial and household tasks, then a new class of androids could take on a completely different role. They could become full-fledged digital assistants, companions, and universal interfaces between humans and artificial intelligence. Some analysts compare the possible emergence of such androids to the release of the first iPhone. Before smartphones, mobile phones already existed, but it was the iPhone that changed the way people understood what a future device should be. In a similar way, the first mass-market androids could change humanity's perception of robots. However, alongside enormous opportunities come serious questions. If such devices are truly indistinguishable from humans, where should the boundary between human and machine be drawn? Should they carry visible markers? Should the law limit how closely they can resemble humans? How can such technology be prevented from being used for fraud or manipulation? Regulators in many countries are already beginning to discuss such scenarios. For now, the focus is mainly on neural networks and digital assistants, but experts increasingly talk about the need to prepare legislation for the era of humanoid androids. Security is another major concern. Imagine a device costing tens of thousands of dollars that has intelligence comparable to a personal assistant, internet access, the ability to move around a home and interact with the physical environment. Any software error, security failure, or hacking attempt could have far more serious consequences than in the case of a regular smartphone. That is why many specialists believe Tesla, if such a project exists, would place enormous emphasis on safety. Such robots would likely include multi-layered control systems, continuous monitoring of AI behavior, and the ability to be remotely shut down in emergency situations. Cost is another important factor. Even today, humanoid robots remain extremely expensive devices. However, Tesla's history shows that the company often focuses on scaling production. Electric cars were once considered toys for wealthy enthusiasts, yet today, Tesla produces millions of vehicles. If a similar development path is assumed for robotics, the first humanoid androids could cost between $50,000 and $100,000, remaining in the premium segment. Over time, however, costs could gradually decrease as production scales. Some futurists believe that within 10 to 15 years, a basic home android could become as common a purchase as a car today. It is precisely this scenario that leads many experts to speak about the beginning of a new technological era in which artificial intelligence will no longer exist exclusively inside the screens of computers and smartphones. It will gain a physical body, will be able to interact with the world directly, and will become part of the everyday lives of billions of people. And if such rumors around Tesla are at least partially true, we may be witnessing the very first steps toward a future that not long ago seemed impossible. A future in which not just robots, but fully developed next-generation androids will live alongside humans, capable of transforming the labor market, economy, education, medicine, and humanity's very understanding of technology. And the more this potential development is discussed, the more experts begin to focus on one detail that previously remained in the background. Tesla has never hidden that it sees robots as a product that could eventually become an even more important business than automobiles. A few years ago, such statements were seen as bold predictions by Elon Musk. But today, the situation looks very different. The company already has its own advances in artificial intelligence, its own supercomputers for training neural networks, vast experience in building electric motors, batteries, sensors, computer vision systems, and autonomous control. In essence, Tesla is gradually assembling all the key components needed to create a full-fledged future android. Many analysts believe that the most difficult element of such a project will not be mechanics or artificial intelligence, but human appearance itself. It is difficult to build a robot that can walk, grasp objects, and execute commands. But it is even harder to create a machine that looks so natural that a human begins to perceive it as a living being. According to robotics specialists, this will require an entirely new generation of synthetic materials. Artificial skin must not only look realistic, but also be capable of stretching, maintaining temperature, transmitting tactile information, and even self-diagnosing damage. Research into so-called electronic skin is already underway in university laboratories around the world, involving materials containing thousands of microscopic sensors. Such surfaces can detect touch, pressure, and temperature. If such technologies are integrated into future androids, the robot will literally be able to sense the surrounding world. It will understand how strongly it is holding a cup, feel a human touch, and adjust its actions accordingly. Equally interesting is the question of artificial hair. At first glance, this may seem like a secondary detail, yet it is precisely these elements that shape human perception. According to rumors discussed among industry specialists, future humanoid androids may feature a modular appearance system. A user could choose hair color, facial features, skin tone, height, and even the behavioral style of their digital assistant. In effect, this could create an entirely new market for personalized androids. Just as people today choose a car by configuration, in the future, they could select their own robot based on appearance, capabilities, and intelligent functions. Particular attention is drawn to the topic of so-called robot girls. It is around this direction that the most rumors and debates arise. Many experts believe that if a home android market truly emerges, manufacturers will inevitably aim to create designs that are as friendly and comfortable for interaction as possible. The history of technology shows that people interact more easily with systems that look familiar and inspire trust. Therefore, it is not impossible that the first commercial next-generation androids will have soft features, natural facial expressions, calm voices, and highly human-like behavior. The main purpose of such a device would not be to replace humans, but to make interaction with artificial intelligence more natural. Yesterday, the Chinese company Unitree Robotics revealed something that just a few years ago would have looked like a scene from an expensive science fiction movie. The massive piloted robot GD-01, towering nearly twice the height of a human, emerged from the gates of a testing complex in China in front of journalists and bloggers, and within just a few hours the footage had spread across the entire internet. At first glance, many people assumed it was simply another technological concept, a beautiful toy for exhibitions and demonstrations. But behind this showcase lies something far more serious. According to analysts of the Asian technology market, machines like these could become the beginning of the largest industrial revolution since the emergence of the internet and mass-market smartphones. And the most alarming part for the United States and Europe is that the center of this revolution is now located in China itself. According to several Chinese technology publications connected to Shenzhen's industrial circles, Unitree has already spent months testing several versions of heavy humanoid platforms. Some are aimed at the civilian market, others at industry and logistics, while certain modifications, according to insiders, may also attract the interest of government agencies and even the military. And although the company officially speaks only about peaceful applications, many specialists believe such machines will inevitably be used in security, strategic construction projects, and heavy infrastructure. The most astonishing part is the speed of development. Not long ago, Unitree was viewed mainly as a manufacturer of relatively affordable robot dogs, competing with American developments from Boston Dynamics. But now, the situation is changing before everyone's eyes. Chinese engineers have begun scaling these technologies and moving toward the creation of full-scale humanoid and piloted systems. In the released footage, GD-01 looks almost unreal. Its tall frame, powerful hydraulic legs, massive arms, and distinctive mechanical walk create the impression that viewers are seeing not a prototype, but fully operational technology from the future. Particular attention was drawn to the robot's transformation capability. The machine can alter its posture and switch from a bipedal mode into a more stable configuration for operating on difficult terrain. Some experts have already compared this to the first steps toward universal robotic platforms, capable of replacing humans in the most physically demanding professions. And this is not about a distant future 30 or 40 years away. This is about the coming decade. Immediately after the presentation, shares of several Chinese robotics companies began rising. Investors clearly understand that an entirely new market is now emerging, one that could become larger than the electric vehicle market. And this is not an exaggeration. Inside analytical reports from Morgan Stanley and several Asian investment funds, forecasts have already appeared suggesting that the humanoid robotics market could exceed several $1 trillion by 2040. The reason is simple. Humanity is facing labor shortages, aging populations, and rising manufacturing costs. Robots are becoming not merely a convenience, but an economic necessity. This is especially true for China. Many people still perceive China as a country of cheap labor, but reality has already changed. Salaries at Chinese factories are rising, younger generations are increasingly unwilling to perform hard physical labor, and competition with the United States is becoming more intense. That is exactly why Beijing is betting heavily on automation. According to several economic research centers, the Chinese government already views humanoid robotics as one of its key national priorities alongside AI, semiconductors, and quantum technologies. And Unitree is now becoming one of the symbols of this new strategy. Against this backdrop, the same question is being asked more and more often. What will happen to the global labor market once machines like these become widespread? And this is where things become truly interesting. Most people still underestimate the scale of the coming changes. Many people believe robots will only replace warehouse or factory workers, but analysts from Goldman Sachs and several Chinese research centers warn that the situation will be far more serious. Modern AI systems are already capable of analyzing speech, understanding commands, recognizing objects, and making decisions in real time. When all of this is combined with the physical body of a robot, it creates a universal worker that does not get tired, does not require vacations, does not get sick, and can operate around the clock. That is exactly why yesterday's Unitree robotics demonstration triggered such a nervous reaction in Western media. Formally, it was merely a technology showcase. But in reality, the world witnessed the beginning of a new industrial era. For the first time, it became obvious that China may be capable of mass-producing not only smartphones and electric vehicles, but also fully functional humanoid robots, and doing so quickly and relatively cheaply. Some insiders from China's supply chain claim that the production cost of such machines is falling far faster than expected. A huge role is being played by China's experience in manufacturing batteries, servo drives, sensors, and electronics. In essence, China has been building the foundation for a robotics revolution for the past 10 years, even while the rest of the world barely noticed. Factories that previously produced components for electric vehicles are now beginning to adapt for robot manufacturing, and this means scaling could happen extremely fast. The artificial intelligence factor is especially important. In the past, the main problem for robots was their brain, but the situation has changed thanks to the development of large language models and neural networks. Robots are beginning to understand natural speech and adapt to their surroundings. That is why many analysts describe the combination of AI and humanoid robotics as the perfect storm for the global labor market. Humanity is effectively creating a universal workforce capable of replacing millions of people, and this is already causing concern among economists. According to estimates from several research groups, hundreds of millions of jobs worldwide could face the risk of automation within the next 15 to 20 years. Logistics, warehouses, construction, maintenance, manufacturing, transportation, and heavy industry will likely be affected first. But it will not stop there. Over time, robots may begin pushing humans out of the service sector as well. Imagine hotels without staff, restaurants without waiters, and construction sites operated only by engineers alongside dozens of autonomous machines. At the same time, China gains an enormous advantage. While the United States and Europe struggle with high production costs and engineering shortages, China possesses a massive industrial base and strong state coordination. That is why many American analysts are beginning to talk about a robotic Sputnik moment. In their view, the West risks repeating a situation where it suddenly discovers that its rival has moved ahead in a strategically critical technology. Economic forecasts appear especially alarming. If robots truly become widespread, the world could face the largest restructuring of the financial system in the last 100 years. Labor productivity would surge dramatically. The cost of manufacturing goods would begin to fall. Companies controlling robotic production capacity would earn colossal profits. But at the same time, millions of people could lose their jobs. This creates an extraordinarily difficult social challenge. Some economists are already discussing the introduction of universal basic income. Others believe governments will be forced to create entirely new forms of employment. But the problem is that the pace of technological development is becoming too fast. Just 5 years ago, most experts did not believe humanoid robots would be able to walk properly. Today, they are already carrying loads, opening doors, sorting goods, and interacting with humans. Interestingly, China is using a very aggressive strategy to promote robotics. According to Asian media reports, local authorities in several regions are already subsidizing the deployment of robots at enterprises. Companies are receiving tax incentives and government support. This resembles the early stage of China's electric vehicle industry, when many in the West also did not take it seriously. And then Chinese electric vehicles began taking over the global market. Now, a similar scenario could repeat itself with robots. Some analysts believe that by 2030, China will become the world's largest manufacturer of humanoid platforms. And this is not only about cheap warehouse models. Chinese companies are already beginning to compete in the premium segment against American developments. Another major question is price. Today, such machines cost enormous amounts of money. But this is temporary. According to industry insiders, the cost of humanoid robots will decline much like the cost of televisions, computers, and smartphones once did. The first mass-market models may cost as much as a mid-range car, and a few years later, as much as a good motorcycle. And that is when the real revolution will begin. Imagine a family purchasing a home assistant robot. It cleans the apartment, cooks food, helps elderly people, watches children, performs heavy physical work, and can even serve security functions. For many people, this sounds like science fiction, but only 10 years ago, conversations about neural networks capable of writing texts and generating videos sounded the same way. At the same time, the geopolitical consequences could be enormous. The country that first establishes mass production of cheap and intelligent robots will gain a colossal advantage. It will be able to dramatically increase industrial production, reduce dependence on human labor, and accelerate infrastructure construction. In effect, robots are becoming the new strategic resource of the 21st century. That is exactly why the United States is reacting so nervously to China's successes. According to American analytical centers, Washington already considers robotics a matter of national security. Some experts openly say that the United States risks losing the new technological race if it does not accelerate the development of its own platforms. The situation surrounding Elon Musk and Tesla looks especially interesting. Many expected that Tesla Optimus would become the main symbol of the robotics revolution. But now Tesla is facing serious competitors from China, and Chinese companies may use their main advantage, production speed and low manufacturing costs. Inside the industry, people are increasingly discussing the possibility of entire robotic cities and factories. At such enterprises, most physical labor would be performed by machines. Humans would remain only in the roles of operators, engineers, and AI specialists. This could radically transform the structure of the economy, but along with the advantages come risks. One of the biggest fears is the loss of control. The smarter robots become, the harder it is to predict their behavior in unusual situations. Even now, many specialists are talking about the need for international regulation. Some are even proposing the creation of something similar to nuclear control. But for AI and robotics, the possibility of using such platforms in the military sphere is especially alarming. Officially, Unitary Robotics speaks exclusively about civilian applications, but many analysts are convinced that the militaries of different countries are closely studying such developments. Robots are capable of operating in dangerous conditions, carrying heavy loads, and performing tasks without risking soldiers' lives. Against this backdrop, China continues aggressively increasing investments in AI and automation. According to Asian financial publications, investment volumes in robotics within China are already measured in tens of billions of dollars. And this is only the beginning. The most astonishing part is that most people still do not understand how quickly all of this is happening. The story of the internet and smartphones is repeating itself again. In the early 2000s, very few people believed that the smartphone would become humanity's main device. Today, a similar situation is unfolding around humanoid robots. Some experts believe that by the mid-2030s, robots could become as common a part of everyday life as cars or computers. At first, they will appear in factories and warehouses, then in logistics and construction. After that, they will begin entering the homes of ordinary people. If this scenario truly unfolds, the consequences will be colossal.